Hi, my name is Leonie Hermantin or Leonie Hermantin. I am 64. I am the Director of Development, Communication, and Planning at Sant Haitian Neighborhood Center.
Okay, what was your life like in Haiti before migrating to the US?
I was born in Haiti, in Port-au-Prince, and lived in Pétionville from a family that's middle class, considered middle class, educated, and I have to say that I'm always described so this idyllic family life that was interrupted by the Duvalier dictatorship because the year after I was born, my grandfather was killed by Duvalier. My uncle died maybe 3 months later. Half of my family was exiled, including my father. And so, uh, I grew up, my sister and I have a younger sister who's sort of an integral part of my life. I can't talk about myself without talking about her. Um, we grew up very happy, but still in a turmoil whose impact we wouldn't really understand until we got older. You guys call that trauma, and that's kind of what we grew up in. But we were very comfortable compared to many other children in Haiti. We have to say that we received a fine education. We were well fed, and so the trauma came into emotional things. But in terms of if you're looking from the outside, most people will say that we had sort of an upper middle class upbringing.
Was it difficult to adjust when coming to the US? What challenges did you face? And did you experience any culture shock?
Well, again, as this privileged girl that I was, I had been to the United States before. I had traveled. I had been traveling. Uh, I had been traveling since I was 6 years old. So I had been to the Caribbean, and I had been to the United States maybe 3 or 4 times before we settled here. So um, the culture shock was not as intense as it may have been for other people because I was familiar with the neighborhood that I was going to be in. But it was nonetheless, going to school here was a shock for me because I went to an all girls Catholic school and I was thrown into IS 44. And, we moved to New York, to Manhattan, the Upper West Side, and I went to IS 44, which was uh, what would be considered today, kind of a quote unquote inner city middle school, which was itself dealing with the community in transition in terms of a larger migrant immigrant population. You had Haitians, you had Dominicans, and so that was traumatic for us, for my sister and I. It was traumatic because again, we were used to a very sheltered all girls school life, and we had to deal with boys. We had to deal with anti kind of Haitian sentiments. We were taunted. We were, ridiculed, and so, but still, we were so wrapped up in our pride of being who we were that at least I saw them more as brutes and uncivilized people. And so that the transition for me was that it affirmed my kind of sense of cultural superiority. So it was shocking, but still in a way helped me, ground myself in my sense of, oh my God, my Haitian culture is much more superior than that. So I think that, there was culture shock. There was also, for me, growing up in Manhattan, this incredible sense of liberation. In Haiti, I had, we were allowed to walk around by ourselves, but, there was always a chaperone. There was, unless we went on excursions, right? Sometimes we would go on excursions and they wouldn't just let us kids go by ourselves, but in terms of the more social circles, we were always sort of chaperoned. And New York, coming in as a teenager, 12, by the time I got to high school, I was more independent and, I had greater ability to explore the city, explore ideas. So it was exciting also.
After being in the US for some time, is there anything from Haiti that you miss seeing or experiencing when reflecting on your childhood?
Uh, it's a difficult question for me to answer because I have returned to Haiti so often. And so what I regret, my family comes, we are urban, we grew up, I grew up in Pétionville, but my family, my father is from Petit Gua, which is a provincial city, and my mother is from Arcaye, and from rural roots, agricultural, merchant, machin et tout ça. And so I miss not having been connected to those roots. Most of my upbringing was with my city folks, right? My great aunts, my cousins, but I had a lot of interactions with my relatives from the city, not from the countryside, but from the provincial cities when they came to Port-au-Prince. But the going there was not as frequent as it could have been, and that I regret. That connection I regret not having had.
What drew you to working with a nonprofit organization?
Well, it's what drew me to working with the Haitian community. I think that, the attraction was not necessarily a not-for-profit, but the not-for-profit was the medium, the vehicle that allowed me to serve my community.
Tell us about the Lumbee Fund of Haiti and how you became deputy director.
Well, the Lumbee Fund of Haiti, I worked at Sant for many years. I was one of the founding staff members, etc. And between the founding and, when I went to work for the Lumbee Fund, I had the opportunity with my church to go on a trip to Haiti. And we went to Tomond, which is in the Central Plateau, where there was, not partners in how Project Medishare had a wonderful, incredibly important community clinic in the city of Tomond. And so we spent a few days there. And, at some point I had sort of given up on Haiti. I said, I'm not interested anymore. I'm just going to focus on my community here. I don't want to, these crazy politicians, I don't want to have anything to do with it. Then when I got there, and I was the only Creole speaker, I was the only Haitian of the group, and I had to do a lot of translation. I had to do a lot of listening to the community, and that really reminded me that, things that my mother used to tell me about, to whom much is given, much is expected. And I felt that, it's almost like there was a half of my heart that was not being filled because I was not serving that community. And I didn't know how. And I was also a little embarrassed that most of the people working at the clinic were non-Haitians. And so that sort of planted a seed of, I need to go back, but how do I go back? How do I go back? I'm not a business person. I can't go and set up a business. I have no desire to start a not-for-profit. And so when the opportunity, somebody sent me and said, do you know somebody interested in that in serving in that capacity? And, it was at the same time that I wanted to spend more time with my children, because when you work in the community, when you work in a new organization, it really takes a lot of your time, it takes a lot of your, attention. And I really felt, as the mother of two teenage children at the time, I felt the need to be with my children, and working with Lumbee allowed me to work from home and travel, but still work from home. So that was kind of the perfect combination for me at the right time, working from home and then working in Haiti. But leaving Sant was not easy at all. It was very traumatic for me.
What is your idea of community building?
Well, I also always say that community building takes place at the grassroots and the grass tops. You must have both, right? You must be able to build foundations, and then you must be able to look at policy and how policy impact the community. So you have to do both. You have to be both grassroots and grass tops. But I also think that to build community, you have to know community. You have to be engaged with community. And so my idea is to listen to people, is to have somebody tell you, I have nowhere to sleep, knowing that you can't put them anywhere, but still calling them at night to say, I'm thinking about you, I wish I could do something, and you just know that I'm with you, and I'm still trying to help you. The phone call doesn't solve the problem, right? But it still reaffirms to the person that I, acknowledge their humanity and their condition. It's also, as I was told you, it's a single mother who's raising children by herself, and telling her, hey, I got you on, you can go out on Thursday, one night a week, I got you for free. And so that's also my idea of building healthy communities, because when you give a young single mother the opportunity to self-care, you're also protecting the children in a way. So that's my idea.
Aside from your accomplishments, what is the thing you are the most proud of so far, and why?
Oh my God, I'm proud of so many things. I'm proud of, being a mother to my biological children and to other children. I'm really happy that I've been given, the temperament to be able to parent children and mother and love, because to me, I think that I have to say that it boils down to love. It boils down to acknowledging to myself that to give love and to be loved is also like at the root of it all. And so, so when I think of what my proudest accomplishments are, it's about the way in which I have been able to give and about acknowledge the love that has been poured into me. So it's about acknowledging my sisterhood with Gypsy and my total respect for her and love for her and for what she's built as a community builder, as a woman. It's about acknowledging my mother and what she has poured into me and what she's made me, because everything that I've talked to you is about what she's taught me. Yeah, I mean, it's just gratitude, gratitude for love in my life, for having that capacity. I don't know that people have that capacity. So my greatest accomplishment, I think, is having the capacity to love and to be loved.
Thank you for this interview.